All right, fellow coder, welcome back to this next installment in our series where we are building a real-world web app from scratch, leveraging React on the front end and Spring Boot via Java and a MySQL database on the back end. In this lesson, we're going to be diving into further refinements on our code reviewer portion of this assignment. So to give you a quick overview, this app is for bootcamp students, coding bootcamp students of mine, to submit their code reviews, or rather to submit their code for review. And when they do that, there should be a code reviewer who is a professional who is able to look at the code and diagnose line by line, go through it and give feedback. So the code reviewer needs a different view whereby they can claim certain code reviews that are needed in need of review. So that's essentially the portion that we're talking about here, is how do we lay out the dashboard for the code reviewer. So if that sounds like it is of interest to you, stick around. All right, fellow coders, so let's dive into it. Here I can see it looks like, because we have a pending submission, well, I guess moreover because we have a submit new assignment button, this looks like we're logged in as a student. So let me log in as my code reviewer, which is code_reviewer in my database. Boom. So we've got the code reviewer dashboard. So this dashboard is obviously very bare. So basically we need to have a few things here. The first thing we need, I wrote it down on a piece of paper, is we need to have a little section for code or assignments that are currently in review. Okay. So when we do that, I want to sort of lay them out appropriately. So I want to take a look at Bootstrap. Let me do React Bootstrap, because we're using React and Bootstrap together, which is really, this is just Bootstrap, which is a CSS library. It's really to make things look pretty. Let me go to components, and let me find a component here that we can use to lay this stuff out. So I forget what it was called before. Was it overlays? No, I don't think so. No. Placeholder popovers. I don't think it's off canvas. Launch. Oh, I see. Oh, that's neat, but no, that's not what I want. Placeholders, pop spinners, table tabs, toasts. We will be using toasts eventually. Toasts are for, they're like a little pop-up. So if you want to like toggle a toast with animation or whatever, I think you can make them, appear in the side of your screen and stuff. But anyway. Focus. Accordion? I don't think it's accordion. That's usually, that thing. Oh, what is it called? Button crew. So we're using cards. Maybe it's carousel. I don't think it's carousel because that's like, no. I actually really despise carousels, but that's just me. Close button, drop down figures. I don't believe I want figures. A list group, modal, navs, navbar, overlays. There was a way to, I guess it's not in here anymore. There's a way to like do a little border around things. So we might have to do it ourselves. I kind of envision like this outlining, kind of like, you know how if you've ever used the app Trello before, they use vertical columns and they have this like sort of semi-separation between columns, and I wanted to sort of do the same thing here. But anyway, that's all right. We can figure out how to do it manually with our own CSS. So first things first is we need to show the assignments that are currently in code review, which right now are none, but that's okay. That's a particular kind of state that you can have in the app where a code reviewer currently has no code that's under review. So on the dashboard for the code reviewer, which is here, code reviewer dashboard, we need to be able to get assignments. Now, we need to get specific assignments. We don't want to get all of them, but we want to get ones that are have been submitted, and also ones that belong to this particular code reviewer. So I'm trying to think, do we create a different endpoint for this? Or is this just a parameter? I think it's a parameter. How would I design this? You could also take a look at I guess you could do the get assignments endpoint, like we have here that we're calling. Let me make the code a little bit bigger. And you can do this. We can hit this endpoint, and then based on the JSON web token that we pass in, we'll know the role that's here. So we can probably have some business logic. So let's try to make the business logic, meaning the Java code. We'll make the Java code look into what kind of user this is, and then that will determine what we send back to them in terms of the assignments. I guess that's probably the best way to do this. So when we go to the assignment controller and we do a get, I think it's just a regular old get. It's an API assignments get. So here we are in API assignments, which is the assignment controller, has that API assignments request mapping endpoint. And then here's the get mapping, the get endpoint here. And we do pull in the user, right? So this is saying, this line of code here is saying, hey, find me all the assignments by user, which works if you are a student, meaning, hey, I'm a student, get me all of my own assignments. So we need to have behavior, load assignments if you're a code reviewer role versus load assignments if you're a student role, right? So we need to have some logic here to decide. So assignment service, we can say, I guess we can say find by user. I guess this code, you don't want to have business logic in your controller. The controller should just invoke services and then return responses. That's all a controller should do. That's its responsibility. So when we say find by user in the service, this is where we can add that logic. So we can say load, return the set of assignments if you are a code reviewer. So what we can do is say, hey, user.getAuthorities dot stream dot find any dot filter by authority, where auth get authority is a specific role code reviewer. We should really make that a constant somewhere. If I want to code this out correctly, you should never hard code these things. These should be extracted to constants. So let's just do that now. Let's do it the right way. Can we put that in? It's kind of like we have an enum. So we can call this the authority enum. And in here we can have role student, role code reviewer, and we can probably have a role admin. We haven't done this yet, anything with it, but we'll do that in a moment. So there, boom. Now we have those three roles. So now instead of saying role code reviewer and hard coding it, we can say authority enum dot role code reviewer. Can we say dot equals? Is that okay? Let's find out. Filter, and then basically I want to get it, right? So I want to say I want to get that one. So do I have to collect it? It's annoying if I have to collect it. Oh, I guess I can count it. Yeah, that works. Oops, get authority. Why is this? This is if role, this should say auth.get authority. There, right? But this is helpful. Unlikely argument for equals, whatever. So we're matching role code reviewer, and this is like an enum type, and then we're matching it against a string. So it's saying, I don't think these two are ever gonna match. So what we wanna do is we wanna say role code reviewer dot, and then I think it's like name, which gets the string representation of this guy, okay? Then that matches it to the string. So that's how you do that appropriately. And we're counting. So basically this is the, has code reviewer role. And let's actually make this a Boolean. And we can say count is greater than 0 to turn that into a Boolean. So you see what I'm doing? We're counting. and then that count's going to return a number, and then we're turning it into a Boolean expression here by doing the comparison to say, is this number, this count, greater than 0? Because if it's greater than 0, then we have a code reviewer role. Okay, so if we have a code reviewer role, then we can do something different, right? We can do a different query, right? So we can query the assignment repository, and instead of saying find by user, we can say find by something else. So we can say find by code reviewer, and then we can pass in a user, right? Because this is the code reviewer user, and we can return this. Okay. Else, we can load assignments by student or whatever. Okay. Now this doesn't exist yet, so we're gonna have to create this. So you can hover over it and say create method. This will create a method inside of the assignment repository. Now, when I said find by here, that implies that we have the stuff to the right of find by as a property inside of the object that we're querying based off of, but there is no code reviewer property in here. So we could either add one, which I think we will need to eventually, but I'm just gonna create a custom query. Okay, I'm gonna import this from Spring JPA. Boom. And then I can create a custom query. So this is JPQL, Java Persistence Querying Language, JPQL, which is similar to SQL, Structured Querying Language, but not exactly the same. Let me take a sip of my drink here. So you want to say select something. We'll call it maybe, A from assignment. Important that we capitalize this here. It has to be the same domain object as we are working with, or it has to be the same name as the class of domain object of an entity. In other words, the class that represents a database table. So we use the capital A for assignment. Select A from assignment. I think we have to say, do we have to assign it? I haven't done this in a while. This is what happens. You get rusty when you stop doing all this stuff for a little while. I think you need to assign an alias to it. So select A from assignment A, and then you would say where a.status is equal to, and then you would need an assignment status, which I think we have assignment status enum dot submitted dot status, right? I think so. And why is that upset with me? The value must be a constant expression. Is this not constant? Interesting. Where status equals huh. I didn't know that you couldn't do that. Interesting. Is that because... So if I did this, would that make a difference? No, is it still upset because it's not... Because an enum should be constant, right? The value for annotation must be a constant expression. So it's almost like we need to do this. I think if we said private final string get status submitted equals illegal modifier only public. Okay, so we can use submitted, which is final. It's still not happy with that. Interesting. The value for annotation query.value must be a constant expression, but this is a final value, so it's never changing. So why would that be? I guess, oh, that's annoying. We have to hard code it, right? So essentially we just say submitted. Yeah. That's super annoying. Well, there might be a way around that. I don't know. Okay, anyway, so we'll start with this for now. So basically our query will say, give me all the assignments where the status is submitted. Okay, just as simple as that. And that's our find by code reviewer query, which then will return here in our service, right? We'll put this right there. And let me reboot the server. And save the file somewhere else in the controller, I guess we need to save. Okay. So now this query should return some data for our view over here, right? So if we refresh, boom. So now we have 3 assignments that are in submitted status. Perfect. That's exactly what I was expecting. Wonderful. Because there's 4, right now in our database, there's 4 different rows, and one of them is currently pending submission. So as you can see, it is filtered out here. So now we can get on with some view related stuff. We're done for now for our backend. Well, hold on. Let's log out and let's log in as my regular old student account and make sure there's still 4 here. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Perfect. Log out. Log back in as the code reviewer. I put a space there at the end. I don't know if that matters. Get rid of that space. Cool. There's the 3 assignments. So, yeah, let's do some view tomfoolery. I don't know why I say tomfoolery now. That's not part of my vocabulary normally, except for when I'm recording videos. I guess I'm trying to be more tame with my language. I'm a little bit less tame with my language in real life, so I might choose to use a different word other than tomfoolery to describe something. But anyway, so let's focus on the task at hand, which is when we're displaying the assignments. So basically, we want to display the assignments in different sections. So you essentially want to have like the class name equals the waiting for review section. There will be the I guess in review. Is that what I said? Yeah, the waiting for review. Oh, I've actually said, no, I did the other way around in my notes. I said in review first. These are the ones that are in review. Then there's ones that are waiting for review, which we can call submitted. And then there's a final group that's called needs update. So that's sort of the sections that I want to pencil in here. So in review, we'll essentially have nothing right now, but I want to give this class, I want to actually have this sort of do something. Although these will probably all look the same. So really this is probably like an assignment wrapper class I should create, and all of them should have that. So all of them will have an assignment wrapper class. And the assignment wrapper class I need to define somewhere. Right now I'm just going to put it, in my app.css class file. So app.css, just like app.js exists, there's an app.css. And this is like CSS that will be global across all of your components. So now here we can say, now there's a better way to do this, but I don't want to waste a bunch of time digging into the perfect solution at the moment. Because then these videos they take so long to, it's great, I love it, but I like to try to break it down into smaller chunks if I can. So we'll refactor this again at some point. So with the assignment wrapper class, my vision is I want to outline the whole thing, maybe with just like a dotted border, right? We can have a border of like, let's say a 2-pixel border dashed black. Boom. So that looks awful. That's not what I expected. 2-pixel dashed black border. 1 pixel still looks awful. That doesn't look like it's doing what I expected to do. Oh, because there's nothing in there. Right. So, okay. So for the div here with the, okay, let's comment this out, and let's comment this one out, right? There, that looks better. So that's because there was 3 divs in a row with nothing in them, and it was trying to put a border around it, so it looked kind of ridiculous. So for this one, for the ones that are submitted, we know that we have some assignments that are submitted. So let me copy this code, like this, cut, paste, Now we have this little border around, okay. And what we can do is we can add some padding. Padding, we'll say 1em. That might be too much padding. Not bad. Maybe 2ems. Yeah, 2ems of padding. Let's make the border radius different. So the border radius represents how curved it is. So we'll have a nice little curve around our border radius. Now black is a little bit too forceful. So let's do something, I don't know, like a gray. Or even lighter, like a light gray. Yeah, just a subtle little border around it. And then I want to also have like a little heading for the section. And this, I don't know if I can accomplish this easily with like CSS, but we'll have a little class name of like h3, and we'll call this, you know, waiting review. Or awaiting review, okay? And what we can do here is we can move this guy up so we can have negative margin. How do you do, I thought there was a way to do negative margin in Bootstrap. Negative margin? Negative margin React Bootstrap. Spacing? Maybe. Margin padding. Negative. Right, negative margin. Margin top N1. So N you put in place for the margin. So for awaiting review, if you want to do, you know, margin before, you put M. So M for margin, T for margin top, and then you put dash, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, depending on how, you know, big the margin should be. So if I hit save here, it's going to push stuff down because that's top margin. But if I put an N for negative top margin, it should go up, right? Now, did that work? I feel like it didn't actually do anything. If I get rid of it and save, interesting. So it looks like the negative margin is not working. MT dash minus N1. Minus, let me try N1 to have their actual example. Interesting. In negative, padding cannot, as of 4.2 Bootstrap, have added negative margin utilities for every non-zero integer. Yeah, these utilities, customizing grid, whatever. Syntax is nearly the same. Interesting. I wonder why that doesn't work. So let's just try to do negative margin with style. So instead of using the class name, because you can do all this stuff with regular old inline style like this, it's just I don't know. It's not as clean maybe. Anyway, so I'll do negative 1em. Yeah, so that works, right? It moves it up, right? So we do negative 1em, negative 2ems, right? That's kind of what I want to do there, is have it be in alignment with the dots. Although I would kind of like the border to not go through the guy. Can I put like a background color? Background color of like white. That kind of works. It's putting it's making the background be the entire width of this thing. So that leads me to believe that I should use span instead. But then I don't know, with span, I don't know if you can have a negative margin. Yeah, so the margin goes back. Okay, so the span works for the width, what you'll see. But then, so in order to make negative margin work, you need to make the display be, I think, inline block. Inline block display will allow it to have negative margin, yeah. Although, it didn't really move much. I guess it's not inline block. Shoot. Okay, let's undo. Let's go back to a div with negative margin, because that's closer to what we want. Now, the problem with this div is that the width is too big, right? So we want the width to be min content. Is that how you do it? Close. So it's like we want min content, which looks good, but we don't want it to wrap. So how do you turn off wrapping again? Div no wrap CSS. White space no wrap, right. I read it in the comment, or in the, here, white space no wrap. So we say white space no wrap. Save. Ta-da! See that? Beautiful. So that got rid of the, now the dots, the dashes don't go through it because we have a background color. So instead of the background here being, for this guy being transparent, we have an actual, background color. So it stops that, I can make that more obvious. If I turn this to be like gray or something, then you'll see, it's like, oh, okay, now I can see the background color, right? So visually, you understand what's going on there with respect to the dots not going through it anymore because it's being hidden by that background. Also, obviously, we need a bit more top margin for the container. So the container is over here. We can add margin top of like 2 ems maybe. Boop. So that brings it down. Hopefully you see what I'm going for here with the title and wrapping everything. Again, it's not the most beautiful, modern, minimalistic, incredible design. I'm not a designer, guys. So sue me. Don't sue me. Padding. So we want to also add padding for left and right padding, which I think I can do with the class. You can say padding X, so the X padding, maybe make it 2. Just to push it out a bit. You see how it adds a bit more space between there? And then let me bring the background back to white so that it's prettier. So see how the padding, there's a bit of a white space break between there. So that looks pretty good. Okay. And I would also maybe do some margin bottom to be like 1em to give it a bit, oops, what'd I do? I forgot a comma. So it should push down the content below it. There we go. Cool. So that's the sort of, like I said, this is just the view stuff to display these containers, if you will. So that's good. That's what I want to do. Now with assignments here, it's going to be displaying all the assignments, not just the ones that are awaiting review. And that will become obvious when I change a status of one of these guys to be, like, let's say, so let's start from assignment. Let's change a status from submitted to be, I guess, in review is one of the statuses, I think. I'll double check that. Let me go to my Java code and go to my status enum, in review. So in review is one of the statuses. So when we change one of them to be in review, oh, look at that. Right, it drops out from submitted because so that is correct. Okay, so cool. At least we have one that's correct there. What we need to do is we need to have a way to assign, when an assignment is in review, we needed a way to assign that assignment to another person, which is right here. I got a little to-do here to say create private user assigned to, where essentially a code reviewer can claim a particular assignment. So we'll need to store that information in the database, and we'll need to store a separate user ID for the code reviewer who it is assigned to. So having said that, that's something we can dive into in the next lesson. If you haven't already done so, I recommend clicking above me to subscribe to this channel. And if you're interested in getting a job doing exactly this kind of stuff, creating code and creating programs and getting a job as a programmer, maybe consider subscribing or checking out our bootcamp, coderscampus.com/bootcamp. We help you to learn how to code in as short of time as possible so that you can get a job and start a very successful career. So looking forward to seeing you there, coderscampus.com/bootcamp, or clicking above and subscribing to this channel. Also, if you've reached this far in the video, please do give it a like. Again, we got to appease the YouTube algorithm gods. Give it the thumbs up. It's free, costs you nothing but half a second of your time, and it would really help the channel out. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Until next time, take care of yourself. Happy learning, and bye for now.